Welcome back, everyone. This is MandoAllDay, back with another video. And in this video, I'll be doing an overview of Batman Hush. This is a 12-inch statue by DC Multiverse by McFarlane. I'll be talking about the statue itself in terms of the paint, sculpture, and of course, if it's worth your purchase or not. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button to not support channel, but to keep up to date and watch videos like this. So let's take a look at the box. This side, the back, which I really love the art. You can see it on there as well too. The other side, top, and bottom. Alright, now let's take a look at the statue outside the box. As always, you do come with a card. This is what the card looks like. The back of the card. Now, the cards are different from this Batman Hush, which is the other figure. So, here is the Batman Hush figure card, and this is the Batman Hush statue. So, they are different. I thought it was actually going to be the same, but they're actually different. Well, in terms of the posing, it's essentially the same Batman costume, just different cards, which is kind of cool. And, of course, it comes with a stand, a really big stand on there. It just says DC on it, plain and simple. Now, let's take a look at this statue. So, right away, the head sculpture looks really good. The painting of it looks really good. Very clean looking mask. There is some head articulation, not a whole lot, but there is some. So if you want to have it look a certain way, which is pretty cool. But of course, a lot of us are going to have it just straightforward like so. It has a wide eyes, which I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm a sucker for wide eyes. Now, since this is a statue, obviously it's going to be a lot bigger, but also the detail is a lot better. I mean, the sculpture design, very clean looking. That's how he looks like in terms of the costume. But the little details are on here. Look, that grin, painted the black eyeshadow, excuse me. The painted lips, a little bit on here on the cheek on there. The sculpture design looks really good, man. Really good. The paint job looks good, very glossy. I did notice that the top part of it is very glossy and it's kind of residue, but yet everything else is like regular blue. So I don't know if it's just by design like that, or mine just came with very glossy and then matte. You guys can see that here, like very glossy, and then there's matte. So I don't know if it's by design, but I noticed that right away. But nonetheless, so the head sculpture looks very good, very detailed. Of course, the paint job looks really good, and the fact that this statue has some articulation, keyword is some, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's fantastic. So overall, the head sculpture looks good, looks clean. Paint job looks good, and I'm digging it. Let's take a look at the sculpture design in terms of the upper body. Looks fantastic. I really dig it. Very muscle tone, and it has that like fabric feel and look to it. I don't know if you guys can see that. My camera can pick it up, but it has like a fabric look and feel to it. It looks very cool. But of course, look at all the battle damage on here. All the scars look really good. You got that Batman logo on there too. Fantastic, man. I don't know if you can actually move this. No, it's actually... No, you can't. You can't articulate. I was wondering if you can articulate this, but no, you can't. But the sculpture design looks very good, very clean looking. And you got all the scuff marks. And then, of course, the cape, the really big cape on there. It's all bent up on there. Not bent, but you get what I'm saying, though. Has like a swoosh kind of look to it, which looks very good. Something that I just noticed right now is actually his right hand is actually grabbing the cape. I didn't even notice that. That was both hands. But I know it's just his right hand, and the left hand is just fist. But what I like about it is it's very loose here, the cape. And I like it because if you have like maybe putting it on display and you got a little bit of wind, it kind of gives it that look of, you know what I mean? Very subtle, something that I noticed. Just, I know, it's kind of random, but anyway, so. Nonetheless, so, the upper body looks good, very muscular, man. It looks really good, man. I dig it. Utility belt looks good, very detailed here on the belt. You can see that. You see the buttons on there, the stitching on there. You got gold on here. Very defined, which I really like, and I've said it before. Little detail like this, they're separated. I really dig it. It looks really good, fantastic. Because it is a statue, of course, it's going to have that extra detail. Then you got the lower legs, similar to the upper body. It has that fabric look, but you get all the battle marks on the scars. Look fantastic. Then you got more of like the costume kind of bending on there too. When he's bending his knee, you kind of get that look to it. And of course, the boots itself. The boots have like a leather look to it. There, you guys can see that perfectly. Has like a leather look to it. Of course, it's not real leather, but it has a leather look to it. And the feet itself, very clean looking, plain. And again, the Base itself just says DC on it, which it's unfortunate because I wish it had something more similar to another one, which I'll show in a bit. But I wish the base had something more to it than just this kind of plain base. I don't hate it or anything. It's a missed opportunity to me, in my honest opinion. I think that if it would have had maybe a base where like it had like a street floor to it or some kind of cage or something down there apart from just a regular black base, I think would have been a lot better though. But nonetheless, though, I think the statue looks fantastic. Really, really cool looking. This is Batman Hush. If you've not read the Hush story, definitely recommend getting it. It's a really, really good story. And of course, it has the Jim Lee art. In terms of the wobble, it's probably because I didn't really put it down all the way in terms of the base. So it might be a little stiffer if you put it all the way, but I really didn't. There's a little bit of gap on there. Right here on the feet. A small little gap. I'm sure if I can push it all the way down, it'll be a lot more firmer. Overall, really good looking statue, man. I really dig it. The statue looks fantastic. And it looks really badass, man. It looks really badass. I really dig it. Now, of course, the main question is this worth the purchase price? Now, it does retail for $40. That's a tough one, because on the one hand, I want to say yes, I think it is worth it, but at the same time, the base is just very plain. And I'm making it a big deal because you can see in the back there, which I'll compare it in a bit, but if it had the different base similar to the other one right there, I think it would have been a lot better. It would have given it more a unique look to it. Because this is just regular Batman standing. I don't know. This is kind of hard to explain. Hopefully it makes sense. But the question is it worth the retail price? I would say for $40, you can't go wrong with it. And I would say, yeah, I think for $40, I think it's a fair price for a statue. Again, very clean looking Batman. Simple design, but it looks good. Great to have your collection. I know a lot of people don't like statues, so I think it's a good intro. I think for the price of $40, you can get into like statue collecting. So for $40, I think it's a good deal for the price. Thinking about it, it's not too expensive, but it's not too cheap. But you get a lot of detail for your money, and everything's going up in price. So for $40, can't really hate on it, man. So to me, the Batman Hush, in terms of by itself, regardless of the price, it's a thumbs up for me. But for the price of $40, not ducks, $40, I think for $40, I want to say I think it's a good deal. Just a missed opportunity, which I'll show in a bit, though. But nonetheless, though, Batman Hush gets a thumbs up for me. Here we have another DC Multiverse statue. This is going to be the Riddler from the Batman movie, and of course, Batman Hush. Now, as I mentioned about the base on here, Riddler, it's a floor from the movie. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. But if you're not, definitely watch the movie. But I like this kind of base because it makes it unique. It makes it look like it was like a quick statue from a piece of the movie. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but it gives it that illusion that's part of something. If that makes any sense. Don't get me wrong, I like both of them, but I wish it had this kind of unique base to it. This base, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do, but I wish it had this kind of base. But I did notice, though, that this was a lot taller. I'm assuming because of the base. I want to see if I can take off the base without breaking anything. There you go. And in terms of the height-wise, he stands by himself. He can stand. I'm just going to be worried. Yeah. So in terms of the height-wise, they're pretty much identical without the base. But since this has a little lip on it, too, it gives it an illusion it's a lot taller. But they both look good. Again, I just wish it had some kind of stand on here. Like this Batman had this kind of stand on it. I think it would have looked much better. But nonetheless, so both good-looking statues. But if you had asked me which one I prefer, personally, I would say go for the Riddler because of the base. I know some of you might say really mono for the base. Yes, because it gives it the extra unique look to it. This just looks very plain looking. Even though the statue looks good, but I like the stuff kind of like this. It makes it that much better. I'm hoping it makes any sense. But nonetheless, here we go. These two statues. Here we have another statue. This is Black Adam from the DC Direct, the Black Adam movie. Now, this is a different line. The other one from the Riddler was DC Multiverse. This is DC Direct, so it's a little different, but let's be honest, majority of it's somewhat similar, the same. And this one does have a regular base, but I can understand why, because he's floating, but I would prefer it had a different kind of base similar to this. But nonetheless, so both good-looking statues and just showing you how they look side by side. And if you were to ask me which one I prefer, oh man, I like this one because The costume looks very, very good, but also too, this one looks good too, especially that gold. And they both retail for $40. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go for the Batman, just because he's my favorite character. They both look really good, but if I had to break it down and narrow it down, it's gonna be just because Batman's my favorite. But they both look really good nonetheless. Here we have, I believe it's Dawnbreaker. This is from the Diamond Select manufacturer or company, and of course this is from DC Multiverse and McFarlane. And in terms of the bases, just look at the base. Very simple, right? Green Lantern using his powers, right? Dawnbreaker uses his powers, but it gives it, it's almost like it gives it a captured image from a particular story or fighting or whatever. It captures that and encapsulates that all in one statue. And that's what I like about it. And I think that's why I'm emphasizing on the base, because just look at this base, look at this. Imagine having this kind of a weird, unique looking base, similar to the Riddler on Batman. It would have gave it a better look to it, visual look to it, as opposed to just standing there. And this one, he's essentially leaning a little bit forward, posing with his hand, but when you have that kind of base, it gives it an extra look to it. And I'm hoping that makes any sense. Both good looking, but I'm showing you how these two look side by side. You guys can tell the difference in terms of Diamond Select and, of course, the DC Multiverse statues. Now, this is $40. This is $50. Oh, retail was $50. I think this was gone up in price for like $80 or $100. I got mine for like $38. So if you were to ask me, is this worth the retail price of $50? Heck yeah, I mean, for the price, for everything you're getting, $50, fantastic deal. And this is $40. Again, I like it, but I just, the base is a big thing for me. And nonetheless, so I like them both, but it is what it is. So I'm just showing you how these two look standing next to each other. Here we have Batman Hush and Batman Hush. Of course, this is the figure, and of course, this is the statue. They both look really, really cool. Very similar, but also a little different in terms of the color. This is more like a lighter blue. This is like a greenish, more bluish kind of color way. But nonetheless, just showing you how these two look side by side. And also so you guys can see how a regular Batman figure looks standing next to a statue. And you know what? I'll do a... You guys can get an idea in terms of the height wise. So it's just underneath his lower chest, upper abdomen, but just showing you how these two look side by side. Here we have a Mega Fig. This is the Mega Fig Swamp Thing from the New 52, and I believe the GameStop exclusive, and of course a statue. A lot of detail on this Mega Fig. This one's $40. Really good looking figure. Really good looking figure for $40, and he's tall too, and he is taller than Batman Hush. And when you compare it to this figure, to this statue, you kind of start wondering, like, yeah, is it really worth it? Now I'm comparing it now, these two standing side by side. I'm like, it's a lot of detail on this figure for $40. A lot going on. This one is also $40. Very clean, detailed statue, but I wish, I don't know, I'm kind of leaning now more to, I don't think it might be 100% worth it for $40. But regardless of the price, though, just showing you how a Mega Fig Swamp Thing looks compared to an actual statue of Batman. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me in the statue? Do you plan to purchase the statue? Leave it in the comment section below. As always, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the support channel to keep up to date and watch videos like this. This includes an overview of Batman Hush, Batman from the Hush storyline. This is a 12-inch statue by DC Multiverse by McFarlane. And on to the next one.